Chris Petri here. We have a fun video for you. We're going to be doing something just a little bit different, and we'll explain, in just a few seconds, we'll explain all the different nuances that we will have here in this painting. But you're really going to see how we can create a wonderful boat painting on the sea here, a beautiful, gorgeous seascape style painting, coastal painting. We're going to use our normal brushes we use. We're going to use our standard palette that we use on a normal basis here on my channel. The only thing, we're going to add a few new parts to this puzzle here. So you'll just have fun, kick back, relax. Maybe you'll watch the video through one time first, and then you'll come back the second time and then work along with us here. But you'll see how much fun we're going to have creating a beautiful painting like this. So again, we're just going to use a board here, a masonite board. And we're going to have this paper soaked in water for 15 or 20 minutes before we start. And then as we paint, we might spritz a little bit of water on the board behind our paper so that the paper stays adhered to our board, and then we can just continue to paint. So you see how much fun this is, how good it looks when you're finished. And I know many of you are just going to be so excited about this. You're going to be doing at least, I don't know, 5 or 10 paintings like this, in the next month or two, and having a good time with it. So that's all it is. It's just, as watercolor artists, we have to keep ourselves going with new, exciting methods and techniques in watercolor and trying out new things. And they always add to our excitement for watercolor, as well as maybe we'll learn a few new, nuances in watercolor that are going to help us to make our paintings look a little better. And that's what we want. We just want better looking paintings, right? That's what we're always excited about, getting better looking paintings and having more fun too, and enjoying the process. So we'll get started in just a second. All right, welcome everyone. Chris Petri here. Hey, we're going to have an exciting video for the next hour or so. Let's relax. Let's sit back and watch. We're going to do a little bit of something different. We're going to take our watercolor paper and actually soak it in water first before we paint on it. So let's try this out and see how it works. I think you're going to really enjoy this. Again, you can try this a few times here and there. And, maybe eventually you might find that you really enjoy painting like this with really tons of water in your watercolor paintings. So what I did was, a lot of people, or I've seen videos like this over the years. So there's a lot of people that work like this in watercolor. So I'm not really doing anything that's sort of like, brand new or anything, but I have painted this way over the years, occasionally here and there, just once in a while, because I thought it's really fun just to try new things. With watercolor, I've been painting in watercolor probably 20 years now, almost 20 years, 15 years professionally. So when I get bored, I try new techniques. I watch new videos on YouTube. I pick up a new book. I pick up a new DVD video, whatever it is. I'm always trying to learn something new. I get excited learning something new. So that's why I'm doing this. So hopefully some of you are really going to enjoy this. I think most of you will enjoy it just for the fun of watching it and kind of seeing how it all works, all the, progress and the process of going all the way through from beginning to end. It's really fun. All right. So what did I do here? I just took a pan. This is like a foil pan, cooking pan. And I filled it with a little bit of water, maybe an inch of water. And then I put my watercolor paper, 7 by 10 or 7 by 10 approximately, watercolor paper in there. And I soaked it for about the last 15-20 minutes. And I just flipped it a few times, like over the 15-minute period. I maybe flipped it 2 or 3 times. And that's it, really. And then what I do is, so the only thing different that you'd be doing on like for those of you that watch me a lot, you're not going to need anything really new in your materials and supplies, really, other than a foil pan, or you could even use a cooking sheet, like a baking pan, like a roasting pan. You could use a roasting pan. I'm using a foil pan here, but you could use a roasting pan, so that's fine. So probably a lot of you might have access to that. And then what I'll do is I'll take this away now, the pan, and I'll put this down onto a masonite board. And you're always going to want to have lots of paper towels on hand, because I just spilled a lot of water onto my table here. So that's one thing you'd want to do, is have plenty of paper towels, maybe like even a towel, paper towels, just in case you spill any water. It's just good to have that. But what I'm doing here is the next thing we would need something is new to, those of you that watch me all the time on a consistent basis. The only other thing you'd have to add is a masonite board like this. And you can get this 1/8" masonite board at any large box store like Home Depot, Lowe's, any place like that. Hardware stores, lumber yards would have this. It's called masonite board. And the one side of the board is shiny finished like this. And the other side is, well, I have a backing on it. I taped some backing on my masonite board, but the back is kind of rough surface. So one side is shiny and smooth, this side, and the other side is a rough, unfinished board on the other side of this masonite board, as they call it. So this masonite board is fantastic. A lot of artists over the years have used it to paint oil paintings on top of. I've used these for all of my art, time painting, watercolors, or any kind of artwork. I'm always using masonite boards. They're hard, they last, they're very durable, long time. You can get them even cut to your size, whatever you like. If you go to Home Depot and say, I need like 2 pieces at like, 10 by 20, and I need 2 pieces cut at 20 by 30, and I need 2 pieces cut at 8 by 7, 8 by 10, whatever it is you want. You can have them custom cut at your local big box stores, again, like Home Depot, Lowe's. They'll trim them on the saw for you, so you just buy a big sheet, and they'll cut them down into smaller pieces, whatever size pieces you want, and then you just bring them all back home, and you'll have a bunch of beautiful, masonite boards that you can have to work on and stuff, But these are great. I have a lot of these at my studio. But in any case, all you need is this, or you don't even have to have that. You could use a clipboard. So if you have a clipboard around, you can use a clipboard. Or if you even have a palette, like one of these shiny palettes, like oil painting palettes, you might have a palette like this around, or something that has that shiny surface on it. You can use that too. And then what you do is you take that surface and you dampen it with water, fresh clean water like this. So I'm using masonite, obviously, but you could use other things, again, like a clipboard, or like we just looked at the palette. And you wet the board down, and then you take the paper and you just drop it on there, and it kind of just completely bonds down to the surface because the paper is soaked with water. So now you have a perfectly drenched paper, watercolor paper. You're using your watercolor paper. I use Fabriano. I have all my art supplies in the description box below. So you'll see that. I have all the links to Amazon. I buy all my art supplies on Amazon for the most part. Most of them, like 90% of the time, I use Amazon for my purchasing art supplies. I also have a Blix store not too far from me. I go there and shop too. But Amazon has most of the time anything I might need, so I can always order and get it quick within a couple days. So paper cut to whatever size you want to create your painting. You drench it 15-20 minutes in a pan like we just looked at. Then you have this masonite board, or you can use other things again, like the clipboard, whatever else, and you wet the board first, and then you drop your paper on it, and you move it, and you set it up just like this, and that's it. And then you just let it adhere, like with the water, just like that, and that's it. Now you could do your drawing first on dry paper, so you could do a pencil drawing first on your watercolor paper while it's dry before you soak it. Then you soak your paper, and then you drop it onto your board like this, and then you're ready to paint. I did not draw first, so what I'll do is I will draw next after just a few minutes. So we'll just take a quick break. Once we come back from this quick break, I'll do a quick, simple pencil drawing just to get my idea down. I'm just going to do a beautiful sailing ship. Here, and we'll mix up all our colors first, and we're going to have a wonderful time doing this. And I hope you'll have a fun time doing this process, because really, you're going to enjoy this. It's kind of like, enjoying like the limits of like what you're working with. So your medium is watercolor. We're watercolor artists here together. We're looking to push the boundaries of our medium, which is watercolor. This is what this is. This is the ultimate full boundary of just using tons of water. I don't think we could use any more water than this. We have the paper soaked, completely drenched with water, and now we're going to create a painting on top of that. And like it'll be something a little bit different than we normally do, because we're just actually going totally to an extreme with our water. So let's do it. Let's have a fun time doing this. And again, you'll get a great result from this. And we're going to go through each of the steps and process of how we're going to create this painting. So the first thing again is just let's take our time and realize Yes, we have to get a few new things, masonite board, or if you want, again, you can use the clipboard or something like that, something shiny surface that's plastic or, like kind of smooth surface. And then a little bit of a pan to put your watercolor paper in first to soak it 15-20 minutes before you start. And again, you can do your drawing first on your dry paper and then soak your paper. So that's the only thing I think I've done different here is I didn't do the drawing first. I just soaked the paper first, and now we're going to start. But other than that, we're going really well here. We're going to use the same palette, same brushes pretty much. Everything else is going to be the same that we normally do. This is really the only two things, again, were the board and the pan to soak the paper. That's the only two things that we're really doing different. But you'll see how different the painting looks once we're starting to work here, okay? All right, so I'm going to set my pencil down. I'll be all psyched and ready to go to do the pencil drawing next. That'll be really quick. And then after that, you probably have one of these already. We need one of these too, the spritzer bottles. Because what we'll do is if the watercolor paper starts to dry while we're working and we need more water, we could spritz on the top of the paper like this with the spritzer bottle. Or we could spritz behind the paper too, just to make sure our paper is sticking to the bottom board that we're using, like that, because we want to keep the paper flat and actually adhered to our surface, because that'll be important. We don't want the paper buckling or anything like that. We want to keep a nice working surface like this, okay? So that's all you have to do is just remember, if the paper starts to buckle, add more water to the bottom and add more water to the top as we're getting prepared. And then once we start painting, then we're just going to leave it go. If anything, we can add a little bit of water while we're painting behind it if we have to, but we won't. Obviously, we're not going to spray on top while we're painting, for the most part anyway, but we'll see how it goes. So there we go. We have pretty much everything we need, and let's take a quick break and we'll come right back. All right, so let's get started. Let's get our pencil drawing first. And this is going to be a super simple pencil drawing we're going to do. We're going to do a sailing ship, nothing fancy. All we're going to do is basically kind of take our paper. I would always suggest, if you can, this is just a suggestion I have because I a lot of times have ignored my own suggestions. That happens a lot. If you can have some pre-cut mats that you could either figure out the sizes of pre-cut mats and maybe jot them down, and then you'll have measurements for them, or you can even kind of make a facsimile of this. But I do have some of these at my studio, and what I do is, at least if I have this, I can kind of set it onto the paper and maybe make a couple quick dots on the paper of, if I wanted to mat this when I'm done, I would kind of see where this would fit for a mat this size, because the paper is pretty close to this mat size. So I put these 4 dots here, and then I say, well, I'm going to make my painting a lot larger than the dots. So I'll take my pencil line and just make some pencil lines and go beyond the boundaries of what those 4 dots were, here, 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 and here. But I just want to make sure have plenty of extra painting going out beyond this window here of this mat. So this way, when I'm done with the painting, I can always take the mat and move it around like this and find that sweet spot where it looks just right, and then set the mat down on it, trim everything, and then put it in a frame. So I'm hoping you're framing your paintings. I'm hoping you're going to do this. Just kind of think about, as you're starting your painting, figuring out the mat size you might use, and you might have these figured out ahead of time, the mat size, the window opening, the frame size, and then create your painting so that it's going to sort of fit within this. Because if we painted something and we didn't kind of have this guide a little bit to as what the finished painting might look like as far as the mat going on top of it, we're at a huge advantage if we kind of know the mat window size like this. Because then I know I've got to paint at least about an inch around. I have to go an inch beyond this here, this opening, this mat window opening. I got to go an inch beyond that to be like an optimum situation where once the painting's done, then again I can drop my mat down and move it around a little bit and find that perfect spot, and then trim the watercolor paper and have this, mat, and then I can put it into a frame. So that's all. Kind of like just helps a lot if you want to mat and frame your paintings. So we have our basic rectangle of what we're going to work with in here, like that. And then what we're going to do is just, I'm doing a quick, I might even use a ruler. I think I will use a ruler. I'm going to use a T-square ruler, and I'll go to the top of my paper like this. And what I'm going to do is take it and go right in the center, right around the center. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to take that and then make my sails perfectly straight on the one main sail like that. Then, once we have that, I'll make the bow of the boat like this, and then I'll just go a little darker so you can see. I'm going to see if I can find something here. I have a B pencil. A B pencil is probably, darker like this. Okay, so I'm going to do that. That's the bow of the boat. And then again we have the main mast here, and I'll just put a darker line there so you see that. And that's really all we need. The main mast, the bow of the boat. Also too, we're going to do a reflection in the water like this, and then a little bit of a reflection here like this, and that is it. The rest is going to be with the paintbrush. Yeah, let's do a couple more pencil lines maybe, just to get a few more lines in here. I'll probably use a smaller ruler now, and I'll just make a few more. There's another sail across here, so I'll do this like this. There's another sail across there like that. Like this. And okay, we're going to do a little bit of sketching here, and then we'll come down like this. And this is the rigging and the sails, and there's some more sails here in the center of the boat like this, and they come down like this right to the bottom where the cabin is in the boat. And then there's a few more bits of sails in the back here like this. So we'll just put a few more there like that, like that. There's a few more, but you can keep it simple. You don't have to get too, incredibly detailed with this. I think that should be fine. Maybe there's another boat over here alongside. Shadow under there, reflection under there like that. And that's pretty much it. And I think for the rest of the time, it's going to be painting. So now that we have our sketch roughly roughed in here, maybe we'll put a little bit of a top edge here is a little bit lighter tonal value, like a lighter paint color, and then underneath here is the darker paint like this. So that's all going to be dark like that. Okay, now let's start to think about, I want to start out with a fresh, clean water bucket. So I'll take my water container and put fresh, clean water in there. Usually I have like a brush that I take my water container, and then I have a fan brush, and I go in and I just scrub around the bottom of the water container, because I might have painted like in about, I don't know, a week ago I painted, or 2-3 days ago I painted. So I just take my water container, clean it up a little bit, scrub around with a brush, empty it out, get all that paint residue out of there, and then I'm starting out with a nice clean water bucket with fresh, clean water. I use a lot of times bottled water, and I fill that up like that, and that's good. Good. And then we're starting to Paper's starting to dry a little bit, so let's spritz the outside of the paper and underneath with our spritzer bottle. Like that, and then we can lift up this side like this and do the same thing. And you can do this numerous times while you're painting. But I would, once you start your painting, I would only spritz the back. Don't spritz your front of your, on the top of your watercolor paper once you're starting to paint, because then that'll ruin your washes when you're painting. So that's one thing I wanted to make it clear. Once you start adding watercolor washes and starting the painting, the only time you're going to add water would be to the back, like this. That's it. So once we start our painting again, we're not going to spray the front. And then we have our watercolor brush here we're going to start with. And what we'll do is let's mix our colors first. So I'm going to start out with a burnt umber here and a French ultramarine blue, nice dark. I'm not adding any water to my paints right now. Straight paint, no water whatsoever. We have so much water on this paper right now. Wow. If we added water to our paint and we have all this water on this paper, that's going to be a problem. So just remember now, when we're doing this painting, you're just using straight paint, no water in your palette. And that'll really work great for you. Good. And that's going to be good. All right, so we have our dark burnt umber French ultramarine blue. Then we're going to go in and add a little bit of that green. Let's add a little bit of the Viridian green to that. Just a little bit, infuse a little Viridian green in there too. Okay. And then what else are we going to have? We're going to have some sap green down here with some cerulean blue. A little cerulean blue in here too. Let's add a little cerulean blue. Okay. And then a little bit of red. Let's get a little red in here. I'll just dampen that red down a little bit. I want red in here too. So I'm trying to mix my colors ahead of time. And this might be helpful for you. If you can get your mixes into your palette first, get them in there, and your mix is kind of all set up. This way when you go in to start your painting, everything's in there and it's kind of all ready for you to just start the painting and kind of continue right through to the end of your painting. So you won't have to worry too much about remixing anything or so forth. So again, I'm going to add more French ultramarine blue here for that really dark straight paint. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and then we said we added a little bit of green in there, which is Viridian. And then we have some Viridian over here with some of this mix with some cerulean blue. And we wanted to have a little bit of that nice, beautiful red, alizarin crimson, just over here on the side, because we will add that into our painting. And then here, more cerulean blue, kind of like straight cerulean blue with not too much of any other colors influencing that. And what else? More French ultramarine blue over here on the side for the sky color, maybe, like that. So if you can mix up these colors ahead of time, you're going to be really in great shape. So let's do this. Let's take a break, and we'll go over the colors one more time in the palette so you can mix these up ahead of time. And we're pretty much saying right now, we're not using any water for the most part. Actually, almost no water. Just straight paint right into the palette, and we get it all into the palette, and it's all ready to be transferred over to our painting. The colors we used again here are main dark, which was French ultramarine blue and burnt umber, with a little touch of Viridian in there too. And then I rinse off my brush, dry off the water, excess water on a paper towel. Then I go in and I get some cerulean blue with a little bit of this mixed into it, but mostly cerulean blue. Then rinse off the brush, dry off the brush on a paper towel, sponge, tissue. Pick up a little bit of that alizarin crimson. Let's have that nice, beautiful, kind of like reddish, gorgeous, warm color there, alizarin crimson, like that. And then over here again, straight cerulean blue. We want to keep that kind of just a straight cerulean blue on this side over here. Then in the center over here, we're going to go more with a greenish dark, but more like sap green, burnt umber, cerulean blue. Not as dark as this. So this is a little bit of a lighter green. And then over here again we said French ultramarine blue, straight. And then we'll mix in a little bit of that green in there just to kind of neutralize that cerulean blue, which can be quite powerful if it's just on its own and doesn't have any complementary colors or other colors to kind of gray it down a little bit. All right, so we are set. We've got all of our colors here mixed. We'll take a quick break, and I'm just only going to take a 5-minute break. And when I come back, I'm going to use actually maybe this brush first. I'll use like a flat brush first. So I'll dampen up. This is my flat brush here. Dry off a little bit of the water. This is a Da Vinci flat brush. And I'll mix that and get some of the, I'm going to start with the sky colors first. So I might use some of the blue, the French ultramarine blue and the cerulean blue to get my sky washes in first. And then we'll also at the same time we'll be working our darks in here too. But let's do that. Let's get our lighter colors in first. So this works like the glazing technique, and many of you have done many of my videos, which is the glazing technique is essentially you're going with your light washes first, and then you finish up with your darker washes, your darker tonal values. So that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to do our sky first and water first, and then as the paper starts to dry, and we're just going to let it slowly dry as we work on this, and then we'll finish up with all of our darker paints. But you're going to see how wonderful this looks as we go, with lots of water and a lot of excitement with that additional paper that's soaked with water through and through. Okay? All right. We'll be right back. All right, friends, are we having fun or what? I know all of you are really excited about this. I know many of you are going to be out there. You're going to be sending in comments saying, wow, this is so much fun. And, you know, you can't believe how good this works out. And I know that's going to happen because it is. It's really fun. And that's what I'm the same way, too. I get excited when trying some new techniques or methods or things like that in watercolor. That's what excites us and keeps us like spurring, you know, we just keep going in watercolor and keep working because we have these fun kind of things that we can try out new things. And next thing you know, yeah, we'll go back to our regular routine because that's what we do, but we'll see. Now, look, we're just going to have a great time. Look at this. French ultramarine blue with a little bit of the green. We muddied up the green a little bit, and we're doing the sky wash. And that's all we're going to do is, and I will add a little bit of water right now. More French ultramarine blue. I'll make it a little bit darker up top. But this is the fun part. You almost let the water do the work. You get the paint on here, obviously, but you're going to let the watercolor paper do the work. And then what I'll do is, like this, just lightly, like this. This is watercolor. It's free, it's fun. You're not going to spend an hour doing this. This is 1, 2, 3. And that's the great thing, because watercolor is best left to just do most of the work on its own. You don't have to really, we only do 20, or no, maybe we do 40% of the work, and the watercolor paper and the paint and the water does like 60% of the work. So let's not worry about it. All right, so we got the sky wash already working up here beautifully. Maybe we'll take a little bit of the French ultramarine blue with a little bit of that dark, and maybe we just get a couple dark bits of wash here. Maybe I'll do a couple splashes like this. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll take that same wash that we were using up top in the sky, and we'll just put that right down in the bottom of the painting like this. Like this. And that is it. And of course we are going to be doing a lot more painting here. But this is what we do. No need to worry about things, how they're going to look. Maybe we do a little bit of water, feeling of water going like this, wavy water like this. And that is it. The temptation is to keep working on this and keep fussing with it, but let's not do that. Let's not fall into that trap of fussing too much with our painting. Let's leave it like this. Perfect. The only thing now we have to do is let this dry for about 15 or 20 minutes. This is one painting you really probably don't want to use your blow dryer with and dry it like too quickly, because it's better to let it kind of dry naturally. But you can kind of see it's still a lot of water in the back here. We have our first washes on. So this is, again, the glazing technique over top, but this is a whole new method of soaking your paper first. This really is it's pushing, again, the limits of your watercolor painting to its outer limits. This is what it is. And all right, so let's let this sit. I'm going to have to take a break for 10 or 15 minutes. What I'll do is on my end, you're not going to actually realize this, but on my end, I'm going to sit back and wait for 15 or 20 minutes and kind of watch as this kind of dries. And then we'll come back when it starts to, so I'm thinking it's going to take about a half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour for this to dry naturally. My studio is about 75 degrees inside, so that's about the temperature of the interior of the studio that I'm working in. And actually, it's a little bit less. I just looked over at the thermometer. It's about 72 right now. So it's 72 inside my studio. And I would say about 20 minutes to a half an hour, this should be kind of prepped where it's dry enough that we can start painting in our sails and our boat and get some of our reflections in the water, and we'll be completed. So it's going to be a wonderful, beautiful painting when it's completed. And again, we do have to let it dry now, and I'd let it dry naturally at this point. I wouldn't use a blow dryer for this. But you could try it. Maybe try it this way first without using a blow dryer, and then maybe the next time you try this type of a style painting, maybe you try the blow dryer at that point too and see how that works. Maybe it might work out, halfway decent. I'm not sure, but I've used basically this method. I've never used like trying to dry it with a blow dryer. I always let it dry naturally when I work this type of a method and technique in watercolor, which is, again, pretty much the glazing technique, but again, using a drenched paper that's been soaked in water in that pan for 15 or 20 minutes before I start. And that's it. Okay, so we'll come right back in about 15 or 20 minutes, hopefully, or maybe it might take longer. But in any case, I will let you know how long it took this to dry, once we come back from the break. Okay, all right, we'll be right back in a 15, 20 minutes or so. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes. And let's see how this goes. I'm probably not going to go into the water bucket too much and pick up any water. I can use mostly my colors from here. So let's get started. Let's get our boat, our sailing ship here. And again, we're using some really good darks here, French ultramarine blue and burnt umber. And then a little bit of some, again, viridian green, just to mix in something there. Interesting color variations. We kind of don't want to get stuck in like the trap of just using a few colors, like 2 colors or something. Let's add at least 3 colors, most times. Let's not worry about it. But I'll use a little bit of more mixtures, more colors than less. I'll add some burnt sienna too as well in here toward the bottom. There might be a beautiful stripe along the bottom of the boat, and we'll do that, and then we'll start going in and get a little bit of the sap green mixed in there. So we're going to do the reflection of the boat like this, and the reflection should be more free looking and not as, here creating the bow of the boat, we went pretty strict with the lines and everything. But then as we go down here in the reflections, that's when we want to have a little more fun and creativity. We'll kind of just do some squiggly lines like this, and that is it. You can kind of see how that works. Nice. Couple of splashes. You can take some water, rinse off your brush, get a little water, pick up a little bit of the blue. Maybe just get some splashes going on there a little bit. Have some fun with your splashing, but you know, be respectful of it too, like not to go too crazy with it. But splashes look really good with watercolor, so I will add some here and there like that. I'll also, since I'm doing some splashes down here in the bottom of the painting, I will go up here and do a couple more up here like this. A couple more up here, splashes up top. Just get it a couple up there, just like that. And that should be good. And then let's work the sails here. A little bit of burnt umber, a little more burnt umber maybe in the sails. And then I'll just... But wow, this is really looking good now. We're really... The paper's dried enough that these washes that we're going to do for the sails, I'll add a little Viridian green. Over here maybe some cerulean blue. Like this. A little bit of dry brushy kind of look. Some dry brush on there, which means I'm getting just basically straight paint, no water in there, just straight paint. Dry off a little bit of that paint off the brush, and then if you gently drag your brush across the paper, and this is rough paper, so we get some of that dry brush effect there like that, and that can look really good. Kind of looks like lights filtering through the sails here. Alright, so we are in good shape. We'll do some rigging lines like this, a couple of rigging lines like that, like this, fast and free, like that. And then some more darks over here, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. We got to mix a little more, some sap, some Viridian green, and then we just get some of those nice sails over here too. There's some sails over here. Again, dry brushy, looks kind of good. Okay, like that. Maybe some more rigging lines, very lightly, just like this. A couple of rigging lines like that. Looks good. Couple of rigging lines here in the water, like that. Then we have some blue-green. I'm going to rinse off my brush really well and then dry off some of that water off the brush. Get some of that blue here, and we're going to make some of that blue along the top edge of the bow of the boat. Like that. And then there's also another boat over here, which is... Let's kind of get this into. Like that. So we have another boat alongside our ship, sailing ship. And we'll let that dry a little bit before we put the reflection in. What else do we have? We have a couple more shapes along the top of the boat here. And I rinse off my brush again, dry off some of the water. I don't want too much water on my brush. Pick up some of that blue, light blue, and there's some more details in here too. Like that. And maybe we'll pick up some more dark, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and maybe we'll just add a little bit of the darks here to the sails, a little bit here and there. In a few locations, not everywhere. And you can see how we're maximizing the beauty of watercolor by using all of the outer limits of what it's capable of. You saw how we drenched the paper with water, and then we got that beautiful like light water wash across the whole painting. one part of watercolor, and then the other part is, being very careful with using just straight paint and getting our darker darks into this painting like we're doing right here. And then we're going to work some very light background colors for the, which are going to be cerulean blue basically, and some viridian green. Here we're going to do, and then we'll dry off our brush a little bit, and we'll do a little bit of a background. Maybe there's some distant hills a little bit in the back here. We've got to go a little bit lighter, so I'll rinse off my brush one more time, dry off the water. I just want to use a little bit of wash here in the back, like that. So there's a little bit of distant hills in the back. Maybe a little bit more of some distant this. All right, so we'll leave that one there. That boat a little bit in the distance here. And I'll try to blot out some of this line over here, like that. And this one's not extremely far away, so we will see some of the, so I will put some darks in here. Like that. Maybe in the far distance over here, we'll create one more, maybe one more boat over here in the far distance over here, a little bit darker, like this. Maybe a few boats over here, and maybe we'll have a couple of masts over here, like this. Okay, and this is it. This is wonderful. Let's call this a day. We could always do some water like this. Pick up some French ultramarine blue, viridian green, viridian greens, French ultramarine blue, a little bit of that brown, burnt umber. And we would see some of the waves closer to us, right? We wouldn't see these waves like further back in the distance over there. So this is the furthest you'll see in the distance. You'll see just a little bit here. But then up closer here, you'll see the choppiness of the water, like that. And then you can take some fresh, clean water and just drop it onto the paper, like this. Fresh, clean water, splash it on your paper. Splash it on. Maybe we need a little bit of a grayer mix up here. So take some of that brown and green and blue up here. Maybe you need some of that in the sky. Like that. And then we talked about it. We could use a little bit of the spritzer bottle right now. And we just let it flow on down. And if you need to, if you see anything puddling up that looks a little bit funny, grab your paper towel or your tissue and just blot up gently. If you think anything is getting a little bit out of control, where your washes are starting to cause problems with your sails or anything like that. But I think adding that little bit of that brown, which is the burnt umber and French ultramarine blue, and a little bit of the green up into the top of this painting actually harmonized it a little better. If you can see that, I'm sure you'll agree with me that it does look a little better, adding a little bit of that, some of those warmer colors up into the sky wash. And that is it. We have got a completed painting. Thanks so much for coming by, painting with me. And you can still see that still damp back here with some, water. So the paper is still perfectly flat on the board here. So we have our masonite board. And you can see that it's perfectly flat. The paper, it's kind of like adhered to the board with the water, the dampness of the paper and the water, which is perfect for watercolor. And again, we'll see you very soon. We're going to do more paintings like this. Please, in the comment section, if you like this style painting where we're using lots of water and using this type of a technique, let me know. I'll paint more like this, more paintings like this on this channel. And of course, as you know, on this channel, we're always painting boats, seascapes, landscapes. We're painting city scenes. We're also painting flower paintings, still life, beautiful still life paintings, portrait painting every once in a while, figure painting. So we do everything here watercolor. And this is just another kind of method and technique that we're bringing into the channel here that we're working on, that you can kind of just try out for yourself and see how you like it. Maybe you're going to learn a few things from it, and it'll actually enhance your current watercolor paintings. It'll make maybe things a little bit easier for you, or maybe it'll help you to just kind of add a new, repertoire to your painting. So again, great to have you here. Again, I hope you're going to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you give me a thumbs up, then I know you really like it, and I'll do more like this video. Leave comments in the comments section. Let me know how everything's working out. Do you like this? Is it not really something that you like to do? It's great to hear all of your comments. And also, too, if you're subscribing, that means you're just going to be together with us here each week as we go forward, because we're painting week after week, month after month, and year after year on my channel. So if you're subscribing, that means you're going to be joining along with us every week as we paint new paintings. And I'm really excited that you're here, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.